everyone. First off, a big thanks for taking the time to join us today. My name is Brandon Savage, and we're genuinely excited to chat with you all today about something that we're super passionate about. I work with a fantastic team here at Vosic AI. We're all about predictive customer lifecycle management solutions, which is just a fancy way of saying we help businesses predict what their customers want even before they know it. That makes help customers happy, which means they'll stay with you longer and spend more money with you. That means your customers can be worth a lot more. And as we like to describe it, it's growing your company with your existing customer base. So today's chat is all about scaling growth with artificial intelligence. I know it sounds fancy, but we're going to break it down for you. We're diving into the world of accelerating analytics maturity. In simple terms, we're looking at how we can get smarter with our data thanks to artificial intelligence. And here's the cool part. By leveling up your data game, we get this golden key that can help unlock subscription revenue growth. Think of it as turning insights into a steady cash flow, which, let's be honest, that's pretty awesome for any business. So grab your favorite beverage, get comfy, and let's have a fun chat about AI, data, and how we can make it all work for us. Ready to dive in? So we'll start off here with some introductions. Again, my name is Brandon. I'm the head of solution enablement here. I spent over 20 years as an executive focusing on customer experience and operations. And I'm really excited about what we're going to do here today. I'll turn the time over to Vasu to introduce himself, and then Doug.
Awesome. Thank you, Brandon. Hello, everyone. My name is Vasu Akula. I lead our data science team. A little bit of background that's relevant to this fantastic webinar today. Over the last 25 years, I had the opportunity to work with hundreds of subscription businesses and help them implement advanced analytic solutions to improve their customer lifetime value through use cases like customer retention, upsells and upgrades, referrals, sales lead scoring, and others using advanced analytics, and most recently, AI and machine learning, which is what everyone is talking about, right? I'm also happy to mention that many of these implementations led to awards and recognitions for both our customers and for our team, as well as patents and thought leadership publications. The reason why I'm mentioning is I just wanted to highlight one differentiator with Vosic AI before I pass it to Doug. And that differentiator is the value that my team brings from data science to all of our customers is not just the software, but the experiences and the thought leadership on what works best in order to guide our customers on how to realize very high ROI, especially from subscription recurring revenue businesses, where keeping a customer, growing a customer leads to years and years of revenue. And I'm happy to say that almost all our implementations lead to tens, if not more, millions of dollars in revenue for our customers, right? So super happy about the topic today because it all starts, the best implementation all starts with a maturity assessment. So excited to join this and share some insights with you. Doug?
Yes, good morning. My name is Doug Shapiro. I run sales. I'm the chief sales officer with over 30 years of CRM. It's not your traditional customer relationship management. It's customer retention management and subscription economics. And I met Vasu some 12 years ago while we were at NICE Systems call center solution provider. And we recognized there was a gap in applications that provide insight to customer retention and churn. And we've been on this journey for the last 12 years and have produced a portfolio of applications focused on customer retention and customer lifetime value. And we're excited to share our vision and how it might apply to your business needs.
Thank you. So to set the stage for our conversation today, I'd like to highlight some of the evolving challenges that subscription-based businesses are facing. A recent study from MIT Sloan in February of this year highlighted two unanticipated risks that have emerged prominently. First, supply chain disruption and rising inflation. These two primary drivers cause multiple obstacles that can impede the growth of recurring revenue for subscription models. Firstly, the rising cost of resources. As businesses scale, acquiring the necessary resources becomes more expensive, impacting profitability. Second, inflation plays a double-edged role. It not only decreases the disposable income of consumers, but also intensifies competition, making customer acquisition more challenging. Third, we're witnessing pressures in ARPU, the average revenue per user. Ensuring that each of our subscribers contributes optimal revenue is crucial for sustainable growth. Fourth, the general economic climate, especially recessionary pressures, can have a cascading effect on subscription models. The good news, we just learned yesterday, this U.S. economy has grown 4.9% in the third quarter, but there's certainly a lot of uncertainty in the general and certainly global markets that warrants being proactive. Fifth, changing customer habits and expectations means businesses must continuously innovate and adapt to retain their subscriber base. And then lastly, regulatory compliance and data security concerns are increasing in complexity and cost. It's essential for subscription businesses to anticipate and address these challenges to remain competitive in this dynamic market. So to highlight the opportunity that's in front of us, I'd like to share some compelling data from a recent McKinsey survey. As we all recognize the potential of analytics and artificial intelligence, it's fascinating to see how these technologies are shaping the future of growth. These charts highlight the difference in the success of companies that are considered analytics laggards versus analytics leaders. So starting from the left, when we look at customer retention, analytics leaders see an average of 71% success compared to laggards at only 11%. That's an astounding 6.5 times difference. And as you move down the stack here from customer loyalty to customer satisfaction, to sales to existing customers, to customer profitability, we see that companies that are early adopters and embrace customer analytics see staggering amounts of success. That last one is almost a 20% increase over those that are lagging behind. So clearly, embracing customer analytics isn't just a trend, it's a strategic imperative for businesses aiming for robust growth and profitability. If you've been following our webinars, past sessions have underscored our dedication to empowering subscription businesses. Between looking at ways for you to be able to unlock growth, to looking at the use cases for recurring revenue businesses to our solution, to talking to chief customer and experience officers on how to adopt artificial intelligence. All of these things, they're a testament to our continuous efforts here to provide businesses with the knowledge and the tools that they need to harness the full potential of artificial intelligence-driven growth through our solution. So as we delve deeper into the world of business, especially in the realm of artificial intelligence and machine learning, leaders often grapple with a set of recurring questions. These questions represent the initial barriers or decision points they encounter. What data would we need? Before embarking on any project, especially in AI, understanding the data prerequisites is fundamental. Second, should we build our solution or buy it? This pivotal decision can influence the project's cost, the duration, and the final outcome. Third, how do we identify quick wins? Early successes can bolster the confidence and secure further investments. Fourth, how do we build effective teams? Human capital is the backbone of any project. Assembling the right team can make or break the initiative. And then lastly, how can we track the impact of our decisions and actions? Measurement and analysis ensure that the project remains on the right trajectory. So each of these doors represents a decision point, a challenge, or an opportunity. And behind each door lies the potential for growth, innovation, and success. So using that as a foundation, I'd like to now turn the time over to Vasu to talk more about maturity assessment and how it can help drive subscription revenue growth. You're good?
Okay, awesome. I thought the gap between the analytics leaders and laggers, I think it came from Gartner, is amazing because of the compounding effect it creates for especially subscription businesses once we make the customer operations more and more sophisticated with advanced analytics and AI. So what we'll talk in the next, let's say 10 minutes is the very first step in that maturity journey, right? How do you get there? Or if you're there somewhere in the middle, how do you make it better? It's the analytics maturity assessment, right? So once we understand where we are, we can sketch some paths, right? Let me go to this. Yeah. So this is where we are going to spend maybe about 5 minutes or 10 minutes on our webinar today. So what we have on this is on the x-axis, we see analytics maturity. The more towards the right side you are, the more matured analytics you have, going all the way to predictions and automation driven by AI. And on the y-axis, we have, as a result of that maturity, what productivity value do we create, right? So obviously all these advanced analytics should give us some additional capabilities that should immediately translate into monetary value. So the higher you are, the more monetary value you are realizing, right? So now any company that we can think of will fall into these 4 steps. I'll just unpack this and then go through these step by step. Somewhere in the process of what happened, why did it happen, exciting steps about why, what will happen in future, or how do you blend these into automated actions and so on and so forth, right? So any company we can think of, it falls into one of these 4 stages. Now, if we go back into the step 1, this is where data is digitized. There's no longer paper trails, right? Somewhat integrated, and it's all saved in the databases, and maybe standard reports or pre-created reports are there, and they're distributed to the team. So they will get the answers. And sometimes like you interrogate the data through writing some SQL queries, and you'll get your questions answered, right? So that's what SAP calls it, basic analytics framework. And there are variations of the same framework, by the way, from Gartner's and McKinsey's, regardless of which one we relate to. This is a good step to recognize, okay, by having all these things and a data person, we can get some questions answered, right? Now, as we move through the maturity, the next step is, where we are talking about self-service BI. This is where business users have access to the data, and it actually not just starts telling them, unlike in the previous maturity level, where how many cancels we have, how many customers we have, how much revenue we have. It all kind of helps in understanding what happened and measures all of that very effectively. The current step is going to tell us, why did this happen, right? So this is where we're going to be maturing with maybe unstructured data analysis, right? So customer complaints and usage, or time shift analysis, or geographic analysis that will say it's happening because of a location where our competition is very heavily involved, or it's happening because the newest product that we released is creating some communication issues or usage issues or something like that, or adoption issues. So there's some data transformations that are needed, and then most users are equipped in creating their own questions and their own answers, Tableaus, and some of them, they start giving some of this capability, but it still requires, some, data transformations and things like that, right? The next one, this is where the world is very, very highly focused on. We have read numerous surveys about this one. This is where business leaders like you are either currently implementing or about to implement in the next 1 or 2 years. This is the not just measuring what happened and why it happened, but trying to figure out what will happen, right? So this is where we're going to get into the world of AI and machine learning that will give us the capabilities to say who's going to cancel, why they're going to cancel, right? All of that, future information based on everything that happened, whether it is geographic data or usage data or complaints data or some other contract related data. It uses all of those drivers and starts telling us what is about to happen. That will allow us to start doing some meaningful things, right? But the real next step where you create a lot more monetary value is where we get into prescriptive analysis, right? So this is where you actually blend all the forecasts and predictions into optimized actions. A simple example I always use with our customers is this. Imagine you're going to a doctor, and the doctor is ordering a bunch of lab tests. They do what they need to do and come out with conclusions and say you have a problem. It's not going to help us if we stop there, right? So we do need to understand what do I need to do next as a way to address that situation, right? So that's the That's the concept of prescriptive analysis, which is taking all the predictions and then taking it to the next level of AI and machine learning possibilities and blending that into your contact centers, your marketing operations, your field operations, where they're all fully aware of where is my revenue opportunity, where, which customers are at high risk, where are my upsell opportunities, and they're all equipped to drive a bunch of actions, right? So when you do that, value is far more higher, right? And then autonomous systems, maybe we are not there yet, but we're all wanting to go there. We will go there where machines will start driving our business, and we're all at the beach. But for the next 5 years, probably most businesses will stay in the first 4 steps that we're talking, right? Now, our observation is when we talk with our customers, many of them, they fall into either step 1 or step 2. And it's always a challenge to cross that chasm, to go from what happened and why it is happening to what will happen in future, and even better, what we need to do, right? And this is where we come in through our software and implementation knowledge about subscription businesses and how to drive their CLV, and we'll help our customers. Some of our customers actually come from step 3. They have implemented a predictive model, right? That might be measuring who's going to cancel. And the funny thing here, we talk about this internally, is they implemented the model, they played with the model, and they complain that this model is not giving me as much value I thought. I'm following everything Gartner is saying, and so on and so forth. And Doug calls them, those are going to be our best customers because they know what to do. They want to do this. They have tried it. It's not working for them. Let's augment them with our implementation experience. This is where our years and years of experience of not just how to predict, but how to operationalize will also come into the equation, right? So this is where the chasm is. I think if we can cross the chasm, I think there's tremendous value on the right side. And the simplest way I can kind of summarize this entire thing is, to the left of the chasm, we are talking about, humans are making decisions, right? I see the reports, I have an aha moment, I do that thing, but it won't really scale, right? To the highest levels that we can think of. On the right side, as we cross the chasm, this is where we are going to get into, now algorithms are starting to tell us what to do, right? Machines are now calculating the lifetime values and recommending certain things. This is where recommendation systems, referral systems, upgrade systems, machines are recommending all these things. And now imagine what happens if all of this information goes to all the customer touch points, right? Whether you're talking about field service or contact center or marketing, they're all touching your customers. The idea is on the right side, it gives you the maturity that will allow you to scale your operations and drive significant value, right? So that's a good way to summarize this thing. If there is one slide from this webinar as a takeaway, this is probably a good one for you to take 5 minutes and pause and do a self-assessment, right? About where we are, what are the possibilities, where we can go. And Brandon also mentioned a couple of other webinars that will kind of really, really nicely tie with this one, once you understand where you are, what to do about it, right? But we also bring our team to assist you in this maturity assessment process. We have done this for many companies, and we have a repeatable codified process. It's a 5-step process. There's some activity that happens before we meet on site, but this is typically a on-site assessment that happens, over 4 to 6 hour meeting. It's typically can be organized within 1 day with a little bit of pre-work and a little bit of post-work, right? So this happens typically on site. I'll talk about exactly what we do with these things. And then it ends with a findings and recommendation presentation. Our customer champions really love this one because they have roadmaps, they have business cases, they have assessment. All their teams are already, participated and contributed to this assessment, right? So this is our codified process. Our champions love it. And the way this works is, this is just a sample agenda. And it kind of gives some sessions and things like that, and the recommended participants in this one. The idea is to bring key stakeholders from your field and marketing and sales and operations and finance all into one room for half a day, and then talk about where are we, our data setup, right? Where are we with our analytics maturity setup, right? What is it that we have done? What is it that we want to do? But the recommended step is always start with what are the operational goals? Are you trying to drive your sales? Are you trying to drive your retention? Are you trying to drive upsells and cross sells, or maybe bigger and broader customer lifetime value or enterprise value, right? So we typically, give a little bit of introduction about, the program and what we are going to be achieving on that day, and then let our champion kind of speak to us as well as to their own team about the objectives. Very, very timely. If you are kind of going through that, Q4 is always a good time to do this type of thing. And then we drive the rest of the discussions, right? This illustrative example is with marketing. We go into details like, how does your marketing operation work, right? What channels are you using? What retention offers are working? Do you have reports that are in stage 2 or stage 3 or already going into stage 4 and 5? We capture all of that type of information, and then we shift the team. This is where we probably work with call centers and field operations and other teams. And then we talk about how does your call flow look like? How matured is your call routing system? What do you measure? Are you measuring AHT or are you measuring revenue? How sophisticated is your success tracking, reporting and insights? How does your CRM look like, right? So we go into all those things. And then finally, we work with the data team and the finance team, right? So we kind of understand the data setup, any changes that are happening recently or about to happen in future. We take all of this information, and then the post work, right? Post work happens. My favorite part of the post work is this is typically an executive readout. It's a 15 to 20 slide presentations. Again, as I mentioned, our champions love this one because this gives them where are the quick wins and opportunities. Yeah, how does our data maturity look like? The most important thing they love taking it to the board right away is the business case, right? How does an AI enabled or more maturity, analytics maturity, what will it give us? And typically these business cases, when we apply them in subscription businesses, always tens of millions of dollars, if not hundreds of millions of dollars. And the last part is an implementation roadmap, right? Because we have done this for many others, we are comfortable in recommending this is where you are, this is where you could go, and this is the value, and these are the steps that are involved. And then we kind of partner truly, your resources, our resources, how can we drive this one? And usually we make it relatively easy for them by doing most of this activity, right? So that's the readout. So typically our assessment process is, kind of explaining this process, organizing these things with a little bit of prep calls and things like that, organizing this event, and then doing this readout, right? So it happens over a week to 2 week window from pre-work to post-work, but very high impact assessment. And that's why I love this one. Anyone going through this process usually ends up with high value, and anyone jumping to the conclusions typically misses out, and eventually we'll get to doing the assessment anyway, right? So hopefully I'm giving you some ideas for you to think about yourself as you plan your 24 and future initiatives. With that, I'll pass it back to Brandon to tie it all together about how we equip and empower our champions.
Yes, all right. So we've kind of got a slide here that was very topically relevant when we talk about a winning playbook. And we debated back and forth whether to make this completely evergreen presentation so we can use. But just in the last week, in current news, if you're following sports, that Michigan, their football team has been accused of stealing signs, and it has allowed them allegedly to be able to have a competitive advantage against other teams. And we can all understand why that would be the case, that if we see another team putting in a sign and we anticipate that the other team is going to play a certain play, we can react accordingly and be more responsive. What we do here is we help you to be able to know what the playbook is for your customers and anticipate their needs. So that's one way to look at this winning playbook. Secondly, we do have a playbook in how we implement our solution, how we come into your organization with 90 days, get our solution up and running with your frontline employees, and walk through how do you operationalize this type of data, and to be able to bring the different skills and talents that your team have together to be able to yield more value from your existing customer base. So this, whether it's the CEO, the CFO, the CMO, COO, our solution brings value to each of those roles within an organization.
Yeah, this is a great slide. So thanks, Brandon. So these are a few of our customers and the value we drive in their organization. We accomplish this by combining a robust platform, a growing list of business applications, a proven portfolio of machine learning models, and business consulting services led by senior business leaders and PhDs like Vasu. Our customers tell us we've created a unique end-to-end solution that has helped them realize significant business impact. And all of these executives are available in our sales cycle for calls, meetings, and share with you their initial vision and where they're at today in terms of driving value in their organization. And we're not talking just a little, we're talking at Aptiv 30 million, at Brinks Home 100 million, and at ADT, our lighthouse customer, over $500 million in customer lifetime value. Next slide, please. So we want to thank you. As we wrap up the webinar, I'd like to thank you for your time and interest. And we have two offers to share with you. Just building upon what Vasu talked about, is we have what we call an AI-enabled growth strategy workshop that will provide you with insight to your current customer retention program, supporting processes, the technology, whether it's going to fit or not with the direction that you're headed, and the areas for subscription revenue improvement. And finally, for all of you who attended this webinar, we're offering a 50% discount on our software and services for the first year to help you do what? Retain and leverage your most valuable asset, your customers. So I want to thank you for your time today. Please let us know by way of the chat box if you have any questions. And we're excited to engage with you in the days and weeks ahead.